cancel culture is one of those things that I used to believe was the morally righteous thing to do, to be involved in, that it was the only way to really create change in the world. And most importantly, it was the only way for me to feel safe being myself in the world. And as I've grown in my own spiritual knowing, my own personal knowing, my own understanding of how I create the reality that I live in, I now know that it's a very elementary way of living. It's a very emotionally immature way of going through life. Because if there's something that I don't like that someone says or does, I handle it in the moment. I handle it right there in the moment. I don't hold my tongue, and I don't withhold my action and then go back into my home and retreat and then get on the internet and say how I really feel, or wait for a moment to join up with a bunch of other people who hold this same resentment about a certain person that fits into a particular group. And we're in a place now in the world where more and more people, well, I don't even know if it's even more than it ever has been, but we tame ourselves. Humans are the only animal that self-domesticates. Nobody else tells us to do it, but we do it, and we think we're being a good person by not telling the truth, not saying how we really feel, not doing what we really want to do, just for it to eat us up on the inside, ultimately. And then we somehow expect everyone else to fix that somehow. We expect someone else to fix what we've created as our own reality of withholding our own desires. We expect someone else to come in and save us from the consequences of those types of choices. And you see it all the time. Like, you might see, like, now a lot of guys don't even approach women like they used to, where a guy will be right next to a chick that he likes, and instead of just asking her for her number, he'll get online and say, TikTok, do your thing, or Twitter, do your thing, or whoever, do your thing. And it's like, everybody in the comments would be like, bro, you was standing right there. You was standing right there, and you did nothing. It's the same thing when people encounter racism or, sexism, anything in public. And instead of cussing the motherfucker out and saying what they really feel, they'll start filming it and then post it online, hoping that other people will join in with them and say, yeah, see, this is what's wrong with white people today, and this is what's wrong with Asians or whoever, or men, or black men, or black women, whatever. And it's like, you had a moment, right there to handle that situation. But see, when you don't do that and you don't live your life that way, then you have to do things like join up in certain things like cancel culture, because you don't deem yourself as powerful enough to handle situations as they present themselves in your life, and you just nip it in the bud. There's no resentment to carry forward. There's nothing to carry on into the next moment, because you've handled it. It's squashed. It's done. I don't need to paint a group of people with a wide paintbrush based on an individual experience that I'm encountering right here and right now, that I can handle right here and right now. But because we have been conditioned through so many things, namely, at our jobs and things of this nature, where we don't feel like we have true agency over ourselves, and we feel like we have to bite our tongue, we have to withhold our actions because it's going to jeopardize our livelihood. That's a real thing. Now, just because that's a real thing, that doesn't mean that the solution to that is something like cancel culture. The solution to that is the truth, and gradually placing yourself in a position where you can be yourself and tell the truth and handle situations as they come up. So it's like, it really annoys me in society because it changes all the time. Like right now, let's take the word retarded. This is a word that I heard all the time growing up and never bothered me. I hear it now, it doesn't bother me. And it's the new thing that is deemed inappropriate to say. And it's crazy because this goes back to the whole thing of it being an emotionally immature way of operating and a very unintellectual way of operating, because it seems like, well, if this word is unintelligent to say. No, actually, there was a time in society where we were intelligent enough to discern when somebody is using something in a malicious way or not. You could use this for any word, from bitch to fat to anything. You can use that for any term, and you can have a group of people that may say that to each other, and you can tell the energy, or you might have just a person that is saying that to you, or you might refer to each other that way, and you have enough sense to know that the energy behind it is not malicious. You can also have a situation where a person doesn't even have to use a slur. They ain't got to cuss. They ain't got to say anything that is deemed inappropriate, and you get a real good sense very clearly that they don't fuck with you. They don't have to say, they ain't got to call you out your name. They can talk to you just as polite, and you can pick up on if they're being condescending. You can pick up on if they're being malicious. You can pick up on all these things if you are emotionally intelligent. So to me, taking a paintbrush and saying, well, we're just going to sanitize language of these particular things, and that'll do it. That doesn't solve the problem. That doesn't really solve the issue of people feeling powerless, of people's feelings being hurt, and people not knowing how to handle that situation within themselves. If you constantly hand how you feel about yourself to whomever else that ain't you ain't gonna never solve the problem for real, because that person is gonna change their mind tomorrow, as they have the power to. And you also have to let go of people's needing to control people's reactions to you. The same way that I'm posting this video and somebody might have a problem with it, they have a right to have a problem with it. That's not going to stop me from doing anything that I'm doing, and it shouldn't. We all have the prerogative and the right to feel how we feel and live our lives in accordance to what is our truth. The problem in society now is that everybody's trying to live according to everybody else's truth, and they don't even know what their truth is, because they're so caught up in trying to appear a certain way so that they can avoid pain. And that's not a free way to live. If somebody else has to give you your freedom and your permission to feel good about yourself, you will never have it. Freedom is self-appointed. If it has to be given to you, it is not true freedom. That's the complete opposite of what freedom is. You give it to yourself, and you give yourself permission to be who you are. And if you constantly balance who you are on the actions of other people, on the thoughts of other people, you will never truly be free. That's all I got to say.